Yo, yo, yo. It's Stevie B. And I have to get this off my chest. I watched Nick Fuentes. If y'all know who that man is, I watched him on Fresh and Fit. And he seems like a good guy, but he's a realist. He's pretty much again, white ring extremist. He is a nationalist, which there's nothing wrong with that. But what he said about the you-know-who's, the small hats, he was absolutely right. What he said about how they work and how World War II happened, that's true too. So there's a lot of things, like, I agree with him, but there's some shit that I don't agree with, how he views different races and stuff like that. He believes that America should be a white majority country, which we know that's not going to be the case because of race mixing. He has the same ideals as a black supremacist, as they call it. Like, there's black people who want to stay within their own culture. It's just like there's white men that want to stay within their own culture. So I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. But my thing is, the fact that Fresh and Fit was able to get around 7 or 8 black women, and they allowed that man to say the N-word, the hard R. They begged him. First of all, they egged him on, like, yo, you can say it, say it, say it. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Why would you allow this man to say the N-word knowing what type of man he is? Like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Oh my God. That shit is crazy. But this is Fresh and Fit. They believe, you know, the First Amendment and stuff like that, which is true. He can say the N-word. He can say, you know, he can't say the N-word. He can. But just like all things, just because you can say it doesn't mean you should. Now, prior to that conversation, the first interview, I thought it was good. The story about Trump saying how the basketball player A$AP Rocky and Kim Kardashian were just disrespectful and disloyal, which I would agree. I would feel the same way if I just pardoned this nigga who tried to, it was Leandro Ball. I just pardoned Leandro Ball. You could have been riding in the Chinese jail for trying to steal, and you turned my back against me. So I would feel some type of way. I definitely would feel some type of way. Also, he also felt like A$AP Rocky betrayed him because I pardoned you when you were in the right for beating the man up in Sweden, but you was arrested. So it's like, the fact of the matter is, I understand why Trump is Trump. He loves Trump. But from a conspiracy mindset, Trump is with them people. There's pictures of him in, you know, that country. I'm going to put this on YouTube. Yeah, I've definitely got to put this on YouTube. I probably got to make a Rumble account and put that shit on there too. But he is one of those people. Trump is a part of a secret society where there's different factions of a secret society. You know, the Masons, the Jesuits, the Knights of Templars, and all that type of stuff. But it's all under the same umbrella. They might have a different perspective, but the agenda's still the same. So the fact that he has so much faith in Trump, that's not, like, me personally, I don't have faith in politics due to the fact that it's Masonic theater. That's how I look at it. It's Masonic theater. And people are shitting on Fresh for what he said, but you got to understand why Fresh said what he said. And what Fresh said to him towards the end of the first interview, he said, hey, it's good to understand why the things are the way they are, but you can't stop it. You can't stop it. And because you're saying this in public, you're making yourself a target. And when you make yourself a target, you're going to fuck up your chance to feed your family. You're going to fuck up your chance to... You're going to martyr yourself, and then your message is going to be taken out. So, at first, when Tristan Tate said it, I was like, oh, okay. He's selling out. Oh, he didn't want to say the truth or whatever. But what I actually started to understand why Tristan Tate said that. Because when you're saying all these things, these objective truths and stuff like that, you got to understand, majority of the people, they're not ready for it. They're not built to handle that particular truth because they're so used to their programming. Also, you can't stop what's inevitable. So the only thing you can do is focus on yourself, taking care of your family, and be what's it called? An example. What's it called? Be an example of how to become a better person in your community. You can explore. You can explore. You can do your research on what really happened in World War II, because Nick Fuentes, he was actually speaking facts about what really happened in World War II and how Hitler was really moving. Everybody knows Hitler was one of them small hats. But what I was taught from other, I guess, conspiracy theorists and stuff like that, that Hitler's was going against disease. I gotta make a Rumble version of this. I have to make a Rumble version of this. But that was the theory, that Hitler, he's a small hat, but the problem is he was trying to destroy disease. But I understand what Fresh was saying. He was like, hey, you know, you can say all these things, it's not going to change anything. Because let's keep it a stack. Revelations in the Bible, they have revelations. And what we're going through right now in America or all across the world is in the scriptures. In my personal belief, I think the Bible was written by a black man. I also believe that a certain particular blacks in America are the 12 tribes of Judah. I've come to learn about that because there's a small portion of us, not a majority of us, that are the 12 tribes of Judah and stuff like that. Some of us are ancient Europeans, because a lot of the information that we didn't learn is that there was a black royalty back then. And also, the term black in the Black Laws Dictionary has a totally different meaning. Totally different meaning. And the reason, and it was a very interesting conversation. There was certain times, I'm not gonna lie, I was feeling uncomfortable, because this is something like I've never watched somebody who's bold enough to say, you know, hey, say the N-word just like that. And also the fact that this man said he's not into racism, but a lot of white people feel the same way. They just can't say it because they don't want to be viewed as a racist. And the fact that he worked with Ye, I understand why Ye picked him, because he speaks from his heart. Kanye speaks from his heart. He's always been speaking from his heart. He's been speaking from his heart since the beginning of his career. So it's like, I get it. I understand it. Trust me, I definitely do. But it's just the fact that, you know, there's some things like I don't agree with. Like, I don't think black people are different. I remember different races have different genetics. I definitely believe that. They actually had a picture of a scroll of a Caucasoid, of a Mongoloid, and a Negroid, and it's totally different set of skulls. Like, the formation of the skulls were different. So if the formation of the skulls were different for different races, that means the genetics are different as well, which I agree with. But I don't think he's done enough research on black nobility, in terms of black royalty, in terms of who written the Bible, because he's a Catholic, right? He's a Catholic, but that's just me. That's just me. That's just my personal opinion, because I learned a lot about, through the Moors, about the 700 Years War, and how, you know, the black people in Australia were pretty much extinct and all that type of stuff. There's a lot of stuff I need to research to make my argument more valid. But black people have been all over the world, from what I've been learning. They've been the four corners of the earth, they've been around it. You know, you have black Japanese men, Japanese samurais. You had black Chinese people. You had, they're not necessarily black, they were melanated. So it's like a lot of the stuff about white people creating literature and stuff like that, which in some portion that is true. They did, they're very well versed in like history and all of that stuff. A lot of that stuff started from a melanated person. A lot of that shit started from a melanated person. So it's like, can you really say white people started everything? You really can't. Because everything from the dark comes to light. You gotta think, history, the ones that conquered it, the ones that conquered other races, they're the ones that rewrite the books. Because you gotta think about it. Imagine if people found out that the royal family was melanated, or the ancient Kemites, the reason why they fell is because they were race mixing. Like a lot of, like the Anglo-Saxons were black, the Swedish were black, the French were black, the Italians were black, melanated, or whatever you want to call it. Like, there's a lot of history. There's an essay that Benjamin Franklin wrote when he talked about what he saw in Europe, about how a lot of the people there were swarthy and tarthy. Now, if you do your research on what those two words mean, ew. Something on my lip, what those two words mean. They were talking about a particular skin tone. And you can date that back to the 1500s. I gotta look up I'm gonna do some research. I'm gonna do some fucking research. But he seems like a likable guy. He doesn't seem hateful. I think he's just a free... He's one of those he's literally what he is. He's an American first white guy who's Mexican, white passing Mexican guy who feels like he can say whatever he wants to say. And I understand why Ye chose him to be in his political campaign. I understand it. But what he said about the you-know-who's, the small hats, and history and stuff like that, he's absolutely right about that. He's absolutely right. But that was my take on it. I was still shocked that the women on the panel, the black women on the panel, you know, they allowed that man to say the hard R. They egged him on too. So you can't, like, that's crazy. Why would you allow that man to say the hard R? And then Myra's in there, he got a whole microphone. He said, Nick, say it. Nick, say it. And it's crazy. And he has to understand, which he probably does, but he's on that, hey, you know, he should be able to say whatever the hell he wants. True, but that doesn't negate the fact that the consequences are dire. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. I should be able to say, you know, there's a small percentage of Jews who own the area. I know that's a fact. We know that that's a fact. That majority of our foreign aid goes to Israel. Everything that Nick said about, you know, Israel and them boys or whatever was absolutely true. It's absolutely true. But it's just the fact that the consequences are dire. And that's what Fresh was trying to tell him. Hey, you can say all this in public, but it's really not going to change nothing because it's already happening. So you got to focus on becoming a better person. So I understand what Fresh was saying. And I understand what Nick was saying. It's like, dog, either we going to say it, my bad, either we're going to say, we should be able to say what the hell we want without any consequences. Yeah, but the world doesn't work like that, unfortunately. That's the N-word is a very sensitive word. But the thing about Myron and Fresh is that they're both, one's from the islands, the other one has family from Sudan. So they come from two different cultures, but they identify as African American. Fresh is more of a Caribbean American than African American. Those are two different cultures. And they have to understand, Black Americans, our culture was stolen from us. Pretty much taken from us by you-know-whos. So, I just find that it was a very, very interesting conversation. I want to give myself a pat on the back because I didn't think I was going to watch all that whole clip, that whole interview, because he's known for saying the N-word and all that type of stuff. He's known for that. So it's like, we'll see. But that was my take on it. I still can't believe they egged that man on, knowing that, first of all, it was crazy, bro. That's crazy. And it looks bad. It looks bad optically. It looks bad, but they egged them on. So it is what it is. But, hey, another thing that surprised me, too, Nick called himself an incel because he is a virgin and he wants a virgin wife. He called himself an incel. He did say that. But I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's just very controversial. He says a lot of things like a lot of black people say. A lot of black people want to date inside their race. A lot of black people know, like, the Jews run everything. That's nothing new. But it's just the fact that he's a white passing Mexican. He's white passing. But he has to understand, like, politics is Masonic theater. And you can't really put your faith on somebody like a Trump and all that type of stuff. Because Trump, he bends the knee to them Israelis too. So it's like, you know, that's just my opinion on it. But that's all I had to say. That's all I had to get that off my chest. I think he's going to be on Fresh and Fit on Monday. So we'll see how that is. It's your man, Stevie B. Peace.